Today, we are in eastern Pennsylvania in the middle of the Amish County. And that's where you will find America's one of the most popular and one of the last remaining steam trains. So, we are gonna spend the whole day today in Strasburg. We are gonna ride that smoky, huge steam train. We're gonna ride this small steam train, this really pint-sized steam train, and we are gonna see a whole bunch of steam trains in a bunch of different museums. So, for if you are a train lover, and for any train lover, Strasbourg is an absolute must-visit destination. So, come join me on this journey as we explore Strasbourg in Pennsylvania. Now, we are in the middle of the Amish County, and that's why you see like a horse buggy suddenly galloping past you in the middle of all the cars and everything. Probably a little bit deeper dive into Amish County and what you see there, that itself will make for a very fascinating video later on. So, do subscribe to see when I make that video. Now, one of the very first things we visited was this Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania, where there are more than 100 carriages and engines which have been restored, and many of those have very fascinating stories to tell. Like this one, 460, when Charles Lindbergh he did his solo transatlantic flight back in 1927. A train powered by that locomotive raced from Washington DC to New York, carrying the film Welcome Charles Lindbergh to the news agencies in New York. It actually raced a plane to see which one can deliver faster, and this train actually won. So the film of Welcome Charles Lindbergh was delivered by the train to New York. That's a very, very interesting story. This one on the right, they call 4935, is actually called the Blackjack. It is nicknamed Blackjack because the road number. So the number of the train is called road number 4935. If you add that up, it counts to 21. Now, once you have sort of explored, if you are really a train enthusiast, train nerd, you will know a lot more about those individual locomotives and things. But here we love trains, but we don't know that in depth about trains like a lot of you guys would. So we spent some time with some of those miniature trains which you saw. We saw some fascinating trains like this particular one. My son told this looks like one of those penguins, but there is actually a snow pusher. Now, after the Railroad Museum, we are then riding this miniature train, which is called the Pufferball steam train. I did ask around a little bit about the history and where they got the steam engine. Like, was it made for just for fun? I did not get very good answers. Like, no one seemed to know very well like where was the history of those. So let's just enjoy the ride. This is a great way to sort of explore the whole town. So we are just coming from the main corner. We cross this playground. I'll come take a look at it later. So that's the Railroad Museum on the left. And now we are crossing through a tunnel. And it's very noisy. There's a lot of steam. This train runs on anthracite coal. So the day when we were riding, they were actually not able to start the engine. It's like it was a little bit cooler that day, and anthracite coal, though it is very pure, it needs to be really hot to make it really work. So we had to wait, and they even told us that there is a possibility that the train may not even run that afternoon. But anyways, where you stop at the Pufferville, there is this another very fun train thingy called this crazy cart. You book a ticket and the kids can spend as much time as they want. You sort of hand crank the train and it goes around this track. It gets the kids tired, especially if it is a sunny day. But it was super fun for the kids. Now, this is, as I said, this is sort of the main junction, right? This is where you have all kinds of action going on. That caboose which you see on the right, that's where you have an escape room. There's obviously a toy store where you can buy all kinds of toy train stuff, train tracks and things like that. Now, we visited on a Saturday, and on those holiday weekends, They do this vaudeville theater in this small stage over there, which was super fun and entertaining, and my kids had a blast. Now, vaudeville is a lost art form, so to see this live, that was quite special as well. Next up is the train themed playground. As you can imagine, like this is super fun for the kids. They have all these train themed slides and coaches and things like that. My kids already had a blast over here a few hours back. I'm just filming a little bit later, but if you're here, your kids are going to absolutely love this cozy little playground. So after all this, now is the time for the main attraction of the day, that is riding the Strasburg steam train, which is the longest continuously operated railroad in America. And this is one of the last remaining steam trains, so this was always going to be the most special experience of the day, and we are super excited to ride it. Now, this train has its origin back in the mid 1830s, when there was a plan to build a train line from Philadelphia to this place called Columbia in Pennsylvania, which was going to bypass Strasburg. And obviously the local residents did not like it, and they made a lot of noise, and with a lot of political kerfuffle, they finally got their way and they built a 4.5 mile line which goes from Strasburg to the main line. Now, we are riding an open air car. This is obviously an amazing experience, but there are all kinds of other cars which you can ride. There are special trains, Bonnie and Clyde trains and things like that. Now you see the main line, which this is a spar line 2 right over there, that today is an Amtrak line. This train line over 100 years survived multiple wars and many bad times when it came very close to getting shut down, until the year 1958, when a bunch of local businessmen revived this and restarted this as a Strasburg train line, which became the most popular tourist train anywhere in US. Now, after the train, we came to this really fascinating small Amish town called Bardin. If not for anything else, you should just come here because it's called Bird in Hand. Do you need another explanation? Like, that is just such a fascinating name. Like, when I did not know any of the history, just by looking at the name, I was like, I have to go there. So it's a very small Amish town. You have some great stores over here. There's a farmer's market which runs year round. We bought a few garden decors and stuff. There's a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. It's wonderful to come and spend a little bit of time, maybe even overnight there. Next stop is the Red Caboose Motel. Now, there's just so much train stuff. There's obviously the only, as far as I know, there's over 38 caboose. Whole cabooses, actual cabooses, has been converted to hotels. This just doesn't exist anywhere in, at least in America. This has been here from 1970s, when a local businessman, he sort of through a yard sale of the Pennsylvania Railroad, he just got hold of 25 cabooses, and he brought them to this parcel of land right next to what they call the Paradise Station. There's a petting zoo, a restaurant, and a great place to picnic, so either stay overnight or just come there for a few hours. It is absolutely gorgeous at the Red Caboose Motel. So after that, the next stop is a National Toy Train Museum. They claim to be one of the world's largest toy train museums, and I have no reason to doubt their official claim. There's just a fascinating array of toy trains from all kinds of different gauges. I did not even know things which existed, from like G gauge and H gauge and Ho gauge, and they have done a fascinating job of building this whole towns and airports and this whole scenes around each one of them. And all of these trains are sort of operated by buttons, so the kids can run around, they can press the button, and then the different the trains and the different exhibitions over there, like the Ferris wheel and other things, they start moving. So it is an absolute fascinating place, especially for the kids, even for the older kids. like myself, this is where you become a kid, right? Like we ended up spending way more time than we anticipated. Just playing through. There's a Lego train. There's trains in the Arctic snowland and things like that. Definitely must do while if you are in Strasburg. Now there's this other place called this Choo Choo Barn, which has this big train and you can walk around and all. That's it right there. We just ran out of time. There's just so many train things. We just could not see everything. Like we even missed inside the railroad museum. There is a huge outdoor section which have had the store like what you see right here, and where they have a lot of more carriages and engines and things like that. We could not go there. This was an absolute perfect day for my 5-year-old train-loving son. If you are into trains, this is going to be a perfect day for you too. We only wished we had stayed at the Red Caboose Motel, but that rain check will allow us to come back here again.